So I just wanted to, I had some thoughts I was thinking about. Just wanted to kind of share them with everybody. You know, it's crazy how life can change within a year. You think that, yeah, a year's a long time change. With the amount of change I've experienced in my life over the last year, and exponentially over the last 6 months, has been so drastic as far as like personal development, spiritual growth as well. This is amazing. So you know, for me, I was never really big into church. I went as a kid here and there. My parents never really went to church. We would go to a little Baptist church that they would come pick us up on the church bus every Sunday. Did that for a little while until about high school, middle school, high school. To around that time, a lot of the students that were going to some of the same churches that I went to were just not the example you would expect for someone who would call themselves a Christian. And so for me, that caused just the hypocrisy, I guess really would be what it should call it. I just couldn't get over that fact, and it was a really big turnoff for me, because in my mind I was living, I wouldn't say a better life, but I was living a more Christ-like life than they were, even though I wasn't calling myself a Christian or going to church as often as they were. So that was kind of a turn off for me, so I kind of stopped going in high school. College came around. I tried a few different ministries that were on the campus. I think One Life was one of them. I'm not 100% sure on that name. The other one was BCM, which stands for Baptist Christian Ministries. It was okay, but the other one I'm not 100% on the name of, I really enjoyed it, and I'll tell you why. That one kind of stuck out. I met a guy, his name was Drew. He kind of, I wouldn't say, he was kind of like a mentor, or guide, if you will. I don't really know how to explain it. He was a part of the program. He actually wasn't in the university there, if I'm not mistaken. He wasn't taking classes or anything like that, but he would take his time to come speak with me. Like once a week we would have lunch together, and during this time he allowed me to ask all the questions I had that I just couldn't comprehend, the parts of the Bible, or why things were the way they were. And he never gave me a BS answer. If he didn't know the answer, he would just tell me. Like, look, man, I don't know. I'm gonna have to dig around and ask somebody who's got more knowledge than me and more experience than me. That kind of, that honesty, and like really kept me talking to Drew, and I kept coming to the functions. But just like before, there were individuals that were just not representing the program, or representing Jesus very well. And again, that was a turn off, so I just kind of went away from it and just kind of did my own thing for a while. And then met a girl who would soon become my wife. She was a Christian, and she liked going to church. She didn't really go to church much. Where in Birmingham, Alabama, where we went to school, And then when we got married, she wanted to go to church, but she never really pushed it on me because I made it apparent that I was not a fan of going to a lot of churches, and that was just not my scene. I didn't feel comfortable there. I didn't like it, and that was one of the issues with our marriage, is that we were just not on the same page spiritually. And that's kind of a big deal. And we found one church when I was at Fort Bragg in North Carolina that I kind of liked. It's called Manna Church. I really liked the worship part of that. I enjoyed the style of preaching, but still, it didn't stick. It just really wasn't for me. So we went a few times, and mainly the reasons we went is she was babysitting at the time for a couple, and then eventually we became really good friends with. And the guy's name's Warren Davies. He's my boy. He's deployed right now. Shout out to him. Still serving the country. And he invited us to go, and so we went a few times, and him and I talked a little bit about it, and it was still something that I was really struggling with. Well, I got out of the military and moved to Knoxville, Tennessee, which is where my now ex-wife, she grew up here, and my family always vacationed to Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge, so to me, Tennessee was kind of like a no-brainer. It's somewhere where I felt like at home, and didn't really have an issue with moving back here. Plus, at the time, my father-in-law had offered me a position at the company, so it was kind of a no-brainer. She was already working for him, just remotely. So we moved here, and of course, the church thing was still not really a big thing on my mind. We had talked a little bit about it. Neither one of us really made an effort to go. She went a few times with her mother's side of the family, and just still nothing that I wanted to do, really. Well, fast forward a few years, our marriage was failing for many reasons, and I will attest to my own faults in that, my own responsibility in failing then as a husband and as a partner, and that happened. I hit my rock bottom. It was a wake-up call for me. Well, through that, I started exploring my spirituality again, and I cried out to God and was like, hey, save my marriage. But that's not what He had in store for me. He needed me to hit my complete rock bottom and reset my life so that I could do better things in life and be more than what I was. I was not anywhere near my full potential. I was probably operating at 30%. If I'm even, close to that. I just wasn't there. I'd mentally shut down, emotionally shut down after being out of the military. I got depressed. I was a horrible, cynical person. And then through my divorce, that depression came back and stirred up a bunch of stuff from my childhood, and man, it got bad. I attempted suicide. Not a whole lot of people know that, but I did, and I failed. And of course, I failed because I'm still here. It wasn't until that moment that I hit my complete rock bottom that, one, I had a newfound appreciation for mental health, and two, it was kind of like I said, it's a wake-up call for me to kind of get my life back on track. And through all that, I started exploring my spirituality again, and really started diving into that. But like always, I kind of just did it for a little bit and then kind of went away from it again. Well, it just so happened God kept putting people in my life that kept pulling me towards that direction. Last October time frame, I got involved with a business development team, and it just so happens that they are, good Christian people. And through that mentorship and being around them, it kind of really showed me.
Turn right onto Corrigan Road.
Thank you, Google. Kind of put me in a better position to be open to really exploring and accepting the Gospels and Jesus. And through that mentorship and them setting the example of just being a good Christian couple and family, that really just showed me what I was lacking in my life and what I wanted in my life. And
continue on Corrigan Road for 3/4 of a mile.
So I rededicated my life in September of 2019, and since then my spiritual journey is grown tremendously. It's hard to explain, really. I guess it's not hard to explain. It's called faith. It's just like all of a sudden, now that I've started seeking answers and reading the Bible and going to church and really praying more. That was a big one. I just never really, I prayed, but it was more of like it was me, not what. I wasn't asking God to lead me for His purpose. I was asking God to just do things for my own purpose. And that doesn't really get you anywhere. So, I started doing more of that, and it was crazy how much my life changed from that point on. It was just like the whole world
for 1.5 miles.
was literally turning in my favor. I went from a door-to-door sales job where I was barely making ends meet. Didn't have a job for a month. Found another job. It was pretty decent paying job, stable hours, making steady paychecks. And a job I applied for back in November, I had an interview in January. It didn't pan out for the position I applied for, but the employer said he was still interested in hiring me for a different position, but it'd be 2 to 3 months. Well, it just so happened that within a month of that interview, I sat down with the CEO of the company again to catch back up for lunch. He offered me a position at the company, and I transitioned to that job. But I say all that to say that I started making these small changes in my life, praying more, going to church more, reading the Bible a little more. And I'm still not good at reading the Bible as much as I should. But it was like God was rewarding me for those small tokens that I was doing, because it's blessing after blessing after blessing was being poured onto me.
In a quarter mile, turn right onto Circle Road.
It was just this feeling of just knowing that I don't have to worry about anything. And like that's a big issue with a lot of Christians is they worry a lot. And that was a big thing that I always had an issue with too growing up, was like you preach about this amazing God who has all this power and all this love for you, but you are constantly worrying about every little thing. Like, why? It just did not make sense to me. And it still doesn't. Especially now that like I've seen firsthand how God has reached down and put His hand on me and has guided me and is taking care of me. It just blows my mind. It just blows my mind, honestly. I still can't fathom how just those small things I was doing and the rewards and blessings that God was pouring over me. I'm just so thankful, grateful for. It took me 29 years, almost 30 years, to fully come around and really start doing the work that I should have been doing in the beginning. Like, you never really, like, people want things, but they don't always want to do all the work for it. And like, your walk with Christ is the same thing. Like, if you're not putting in the work, you're not going to be rewarded. You're not going to get a promotion at work if you're not doing the things that are going to get you promoted. And it's crazy to think about. You just do the things, the results will come. As simple as a concept that it is, that's just how it works. So, anyways, just some thoughts I had. Hope everyone's doing okay. I love you guys all. And feel free to reach out if you guys are struggling right now with all the quarantine and it's rough. Reach out. I'd be happy to talk. Love you guys. I'll talk to you later.